Okay, in this video I will tell you how to create a tic-tac-toe game. First I would like to explain the logic, how we are going to develop the code. Now let us see how it's going to work. Let's say this is our grid 3 by 3. Now these are all buttons, right? Because we are going to create this one on the frame. First thing, we need to see that these buttons, when a person clicks a button, now there are two people who are going to play this game, okay? Now when the first one clicks, it should display X. When the second one clicks, it should display O. It means we need to keep a note who is going to click the button. Is it the first person or the second person? So we can have one variable which says that a person is the first one or the second one. Now once the game starts, that variable should have person as the first person, and once this is clicked, the variable should change to second. It means now when it clicks, it's going to check whose turn is it. Is it the first or the second? If it is first, it's going to display X. If it is the second, it's going to display O. Now this is first part. Second part, if we have clicked one button once, it should not be allowed, we should not be allowed to click that one again, right? That is how the game works. So it means we need to have some variable where we can control, or a flag or something, that okay, this button has been clicked, so now it's not possible to click this one again. You can click it, I mean you can go and click the mouse on it, but nothing will happen. So this is our logic. Now this logic will make us display all these X and O's perfectly on the frame. Second logic should be about who wins the game. Now this one is simple in a way. Let's say now the game is going on, but this check that who wins the game has to be done on every click, or we need to keep a count that how many buttons have been clicked, because once you start clicking, you can see that it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Most probably on the 5 turns the game can be over. So the best way is that on every click we check who is winning the game. Now how we are going to do that? If this is clicked, what we will do, we will go and have a check there, that we are going to check the text on the button. What is that text? That is the simplest way to do it. So we will check if the text on button 1, now this is a grid actually, we have 3 rows and 3 columns, right? So it means this one is 1 1, first row and first column, first row and second column, first row and third column. This one would be second row, first column, like that. So we will check if button 1 1, that is this one, is equal to button 1 2, and button 1 2 is equal to button 1 3. If all these 3 are equal, it means whatever text was here, we will say that if it's X, X wins. If it's O, O wins. Similarly, we will have to do it for this one and this one. Now there would be total 8 checks, 3 rows, 3 columns, and you have the diagonal from here to here and from here to here. So this would be our logic for this game. This is Java NetBeans. We will start a new project. You select the Java and Java application and click next. Here we are going to name the project as TTT, right? Here this one should be unchecked for now. Create main class. We are not creating it directly from here. Okay. Now here we have default package. Let's name this, and we will name it as TTTF. This is first part. Now we need to create a JFrame form here, that is this. You can name this one again as TTT. Now this is our form. Now we will just run this one to see that everything is working fine. You will select this one because there is a main in this frame also. Okay, we can run this one. You can see here, and here we have the main method. So now we are going to put the buttons here. Now we are going to resize the buttons. First, let us just remove the text from it, and from the properties you can set the size of this button. Here it says horizontal size, let's say 150, and the vertical size also 150. So here we have our button. If you want to color this button, you can do that also. Now you will just copy and paste this. Now we need to arrange these buttons. Now the easiest way to arrange them actually is to, you will just try to put them in, order. One more thing we can do is to add a layout manager here. You can right click the JFrame, set layout, and the one that I'm going to use is grid layout. Now we can set the properties to be 3 columns and 3 rows. Now what we can do is we can set the layout as free design. You can see it's the same thing. Now I'm going to select all the buttons and change their size. You can see here. So we're going to make this one 150 and this one also 150. So you can see we have our buttons same size. So now we'll just run this one once again. So here we have our button. Okay, now the first thing that we will do is to go and create our variables and some data that we are going to use in our program. So you can click source here. You can see all the code is here. Now here is the place where we are going to define the variable. So let's say the first one is string person. This one we will have, okay, here we have the first variable. Now the second one, we can create one for the font so that we can set the size and color of the X and O. We need to import java.awt.font. Okay. Now the third thing is going to be a check for the button click. We need to have a flag for the button clicks. We can call this one B1 click, then we can have B2 click, and we can have all the 9 buttons. Okay, then we need to initialize some of these values, and that we are going to do in the constructor of this class. Set location. Then we can have, we will start with person is equal to first, right? Then we can have set the font variable also. You can have the font name, style, and then you can have the font size. Now we are going to make all the button click variable as false. So now we have done just one part of it. We have initialized our variable. Now the next step is we want to create the event handlers for these buttons. That is, when the button click, what happens. So to do that, we will just come here and say events, right click the button, events, action and action perform. Now here we have the action perform for button 1. So we will write our code here when this button is clicked. So we have to do this for all of them. Second way of adding this action perform event handler is you can click the button, come to these properties. Here you have events, and under the events you have a lot of different actions or events that can happen to this button. So this is the first one that we have here. You can drop this one and click this. So again you have the event for the button 2. So similarly we are going to do it for all the buttons. So now we have action perform for all the buttons. So now when we run this, nothing happens because we have not written any code behind these buttons. Now let us start with the first button. We will go to the J button 1 action performed. Now here, like I said at the start, that first thing we need to check which button is being clicked. So here we can say, and the button that is being clicked has not been clicked before. This is the check we want to do. So we say not button 1 clicked, right? So if this button was not clicked before, now it will be clicked. So once this is clicked, it means button 1 click is equal to true now, right? Because it has been clicked. So now it's inside here. The second thing we need to check here is that who is the person that is playing this, or whose turn is it at the moment. So we are going to say person dot equals, and here we can write first. So if the person that is playing or clicking the button now is the first person, what do we have to do? Okay, the first thing that we will do, we will just do some again formatting of the button. We can set the foreground color as red. Set text as, let's say, X. And then we will set the font, and that is F, which we have set it here. This all will be applied to the button. And now we know that the first person has taken his turn. So the next turn should be for the person 2. So we can say the second person. Second. Now it's not necessary that always this one would be clicked as the first button. It can be this one, or anyone, right? So let's say if this button was clicked, the first one, and it was not clicked by person 1, it was not clicked by the first person, it was clicked by the second person. Then what happens? Then we can have an else here, and we're going to repeat all these things again. Right? And in this case, this would be first, and here this one should be O, while this color should be something else, let's say blue. Right? So I will repeat this one again. When the button is clicked, we need to check if this button was not clicked before. So it is not button clicked because we have said here it is false here. So not will be false, right? So it has not been clicked. So it gets into this code here. It checks which person is playing the first one or the second one. If it is the first one, it changes the color to red, displays X, and makes the person as second. If it is the second person, it does the same thing, then just makes the person as first. And now here we have done button clicked is equal to button 1 clicked is equal to true. It means this button has been clicked. So next time if it gets into this area, it's not going to go through this code at all. Right? Now what we have to do is to copy and paste all this code onto button 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. And the changes that we are going to do, we are going to replace button 1 with button 2. That's the only thing we are going to replace. The rest, and this one here also, okay, button 1 clicked, it should be button 2 clicked. So let's just copy this. This is button 2. Let us paste it here. And now this one would be button 2. This one also button 2. Right? So this part here. So let us just run this one and see what happens for these two. This is button 1. We have X, and this one we have O. Right? Now let us do it the other way. We click this one is X and this one is O. Okay, we have done one mistake. This is button 1. So this is button 1 clicked is equal to true, and this is button 2. So this one is supposed to be button 2 also. Right? So let us run it again. This is X and this is O. We close this and run it again. Now we start from here. This is X and this is O. Right? So both of them are working fine. Now we are going to copy and paste this code to all the buttons, and then we are going to change it. Right? We have pasted all of them. We have button 1, button 1, button 2, button 2, and from here it's button 3. We have changed the code for all the buttons now. Let us run it and see. Right? So all of them are working fine. So now our game is displaying perfectly. So now we need to check who wins the game, right? So what we can do here is we can create one more method here. Let's say now we have a method which is WhoWins. Like I explained in the logic that we need to first get all the text on our buttons, right? So what we can do, we can have a string, let's say b1 dot we have a method get text. So it's going to get the text on the button. Now this is first part for this method WhoWins. Now, like I said, we need to check the text on each button and compare it with the second button in the same row or in the same column or diagonal. So let's start with the first part. We say if b1 dot equals b2, right? And we can say and b2 dot equals b3. Now remember one thing, when the game starts, we know that these all are empty, there is no string, right? So if the comparison is done with this, it can happen that at the start all these buttons are no string, so this one has empty string, this one also has empty string, so this can be equal also, right? So that can create a little problem for us. So to avoid that, what we can do, as I was saying, that when these buttons are clicked, we need to check that they are not empty, because at the start all of them would be empty, they will have empty string. So this can have some issues. If we have empty string, it might show that this person wins or that person wins. So to avoid that, what we can do, we can have here, let's say b1 equals that string. So we can just have this not operator here. So it will be that if b1 is not equal to space, then we can have something here. Now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to display so now this is just a small check that it is working fine, right? If b1 is equal to b2 and b2 is equal to b3, it should come here. So let us just run this and see. We need to have a look here. Now when I click this, it should show here X wins, right? It is showing X wins. Now we can try it again with O. You can see it says O wins. So it means our code is running fine, right? Now this was the first part, right? The first row. Now we can come to the second, which starts from b4. What we can do, we can copy and paste. So this would be b4 equals b5 and b5 equals b6, right? And here we will say b4 wins. Now we are going to do it for all the possible combinations, that is row 1, row 2, row 3, column 1, column 2, column 3 and the two diagonals. We are going to write the same code for all of them. We can put this comments here, that this one is for row 1, this is for row 2, this one is for row 3. And now here we can say this one should be for column 1. Now column 1 would be b1 with b4, right? And then b4 with b7. Here we can have b1. that would be B2 with B5 and B5 equals 8. This one can be now column 3. So column 3 is B3 with B6 and B6, B9. This one can be B3. Now we can have for diagonal, let's say 1. We will start from B1, which equals B5, and B5 equals B9. This one can be diagonal 2. Diagonal 2 can start from B3, and B5 and B7. Okay, now we have this code. Let us just check how this one is going. Okay, we have done one small mistake here. If B1 is equals empty string, this one is supposed to be B4. This one is supposed to be B7. This one again B1. This one B2. This one B3. B1 again. B3. So let us run this one again. Okay. One more thing we need to write is, we have written this one. We have to call this WhoWins on every button click. So this one was button 1, button 2, and we need to have it on button 3 and button 4 also, button 5, button 6, button 7, right? So now let's run this and see once again. So it says X wins, right? Okay. We can do one more thing. Let's just run this one first. So our code is running fine now, right? Okay, to restart the game, what we can do, we can put a menu here. Right? We can delete this one and we can rename this one as restart, and we need to write a method. This time we are going to choose the mouse click. Okay, it's not a button click, right? So here we have it. Now here we are just going to call one method. We will put that method here and we will call it as clear all. Here I have written this method already. Here we are just going to initialize our variable. So person is again first, font we will just initialize it. There is no need, it will work still. Then button 1 up to button 9, all of them should be false. The click and the text should be empty for all of them. Now we can call this one here on the J menu, mouse click. Let's see if it's working or. So when I click that, it clears everything. Okay, we will like to add one more thing here. That is, instead of displaying or using this system.out.println, we should have a pop-up that says that this person wins or this person wins. So what we can do here, we have something called JOptionpane, and we need show message dialog. Okay, here we can use the first value as null. The second one can be, this is in B1, so we can have B1. So if B1 wins, it's going to display a, and we can block this line. So let us just run this and check for the first part. You can see it says X wins, right? We can try with the O also. Okay, O wins it. So we just need to add this line of code to every, and we will just replace this one with so like this. We have added all these two checks, right? So we'll run this again. You can see it shows X wins. So now it shows O wins, right?